In the gentle valley of Willowmere, where the evening mist rolled soft and slow like a sleepy cat stretching across the meadows, there lived a little girl named Luna. She had bright brown eyes that sparkled like dewdrops in the morning sun, and hair as dark as the quiet night sky. Luna lived in a small cottage with white walls and a red roof that looked like a mushroom growing beside the village pond. The village of Willowmere was the kind of place where time moved as slowly as honey dripping from a wooden spoon. The houses were small and cozy, with gardens full of sleepy flowers that nodded their heads when the evening breeze whispered through them. Smoke curled up from the chimneys like lazy ribbons dancing in the air. The windows glowed with warm yellow light that made every home look like a glowing lantern sitting peacefully in the growing darkness. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky with soft colors of pink and purple and gold, Luna would sit by her bedroom window and look out toward the mysterious Grugglewig wood. The forest stretched along the edge of their village like a great green blanket dotted with tall trees that seemed to touch the clouds. The trees swayed gently in the evening wind, making a sound like a mother humming a lullaby to help her children fall asleep. But what caught Luna's attention every single night was something very special and magical. High above the tops of the tallest trees in Grugglewig Wood stood a tower that glowed with the most beautiful warm amber light she had ever seen. The light was soft and gentle like the glow from a fireplace on a cold winter night. It was not bright like the sun or sharp like lightning, but peaceful and calm, like the light from a candle that never went out. The tower looked ancient and wise, with stones that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. It had a pointed roof that curved upward toward the stars and small windows that twinkled like kind eyes watching over the forest. Vines with tiny purple flowers grew up the sides of the tower, making it look like it was wearing a beautiful dress, made of nature itself. Luna had always wondered about this mysterious tower. Who lived there? What made the beautiful light that glowed every night? Why did looking at it make her feel so peaceful and safe? Her grandmother had told her stories about wizards and magic, but Luna had never seen any magic herself until she started noticing the tower's gentle glow. The villagers of Willowmere all knew about the tower too. The baker would point to it while kneading his bread in the early morning hours. The milk lady would smile when she saw its light while delivering fresh milk to each house. The children would whisper about it during their games, but never with fear, only with wonder and curiosity. Everyone agreed that the tower brought something good to their village, though no one could explain exactly what that something was. As Luna sat by her window this particular evening, she noticed that the tower's glow seemed even more inviting than usual. The light pulsed gently like a heartbeat or like the slow breathing of someone sleeping peacefully. She pressed her face against the cool glass of her window and felt a strange pulling in her heart, as if the tower was calling to her in a voice too soft to hear, but somehow clear enough to understand. The evening air was filled with the gentle sounds of Willowmere settling down for the night. She could hear Mrs. Henderson's rooster clucking softly in his coop. The village fountain made tiny splashing sounds as water trickled over its smooth stones. Somewhere in the distance, a night bird sang a sweet melody that sounded like a lullaby, floating on the breeze. Luna's mother called from downstairs that it was time for bed, but Luna found herself unable to look away from the tower. Tonight something felt different. Tonight the amber glow seemed to dance and shimmer in a way that made her think of fireflies playing in a summer garden. Tonight she felt more curious than she had ever felt before. She put on her soft blue nightgown and fuzzy slippers that looked like sleeping rabbits. She brushed her teeth and washed her face, but still she kept looking toward the window, where the tower's gentle light painted golden patterns on her bedroom wall. The light moved slowly and peacefully, like sunlight filtering through water in a quiet pond. Her mother came upstairs to tuck her into bed and kiss her goodnight. As always, her mother looked toward the window and smiled at the sight of the glowing tower. "The tower looks especially beautiful tonight," her mother said softly. "I wonder what makes it shine so brightly." Luna snuggled deeper into her warm blankets, but kept her eyes on the tower's glow. "Maybe someone lives there who takes care of the forest," she whispered. Her mother smiled and smoothed Luna's hair. "Maybe they do, sweetheart. Maybe they watch over all of us while we sleep and keep us safe in our dreams." After her mother left the room, Luna lay in her cozy bed, watching the tower's amber light dance across her ceiling. The glow was hypnotic and soothing, like watching clouds drift slowly across the sky on a perfect summer day. She felt her eyelids growing heavy, but she did not want to look away from the beautiful sight. As she lay there feeling drowsy and peaceful, Luna began to imagine what it would be like to visit the mysterious tower. She pictured a winding path through the quiet forest. She imagined friendly forest creatures who would guide her way. She thought about who might live in such a magical place and what wonderful secrets they might share. The tower's gentle glow seemed to grow even softer and more welcoming, as if it could hear her thoughts and was inviting her to come closer. Luna smiled sleepily and made a quiet promise to herself. Tomorrow night, when the moon was bright and the village was sleeping, she would find the courage to follow the mysterious light and discover the secrets of the wizard's tower in Grugglewig Wood. The next evening arrived like a gentle friend tiptoeing through the village of Willowmere. Luna had spent the entire day thinking about the mysterious tower and the promise she had made to herself. As the sun began to set behind the rolling hills, painting the sky with soft brushstrokes of orange and pink, she knew tonight would be the night of her adventure. Luna waited patiently in her room until she heard her parents talking quietly downstairs and the familiar sounds of the village settling into its peaceful evening routine. The baker had finished his last loaf of bread. The milk lady had put away her cart for the night. Even the village fountain seemed to bubble more softly, as if it too was getting ready for sleep. When the big clock in the village square chimed 9 times, Luna knew it was time. She slipped out of her warm bed and put on her softest shoes and a light sweater that felt like being hugged by a cloud. She tiptoed down the creaky stairs, being careful not to wake her sleeping parents, and quietly opened the front door of their little cottage. The night air felt cool and fresh against her face, like drinking water from a mountain stream. Above her, the moon hung full and bright like a giant pearl floating in an ocean of dark blue velvet. Stars twinkled all around it, looking like tiny diamonds scattered by a playful giant across the endless sky. Luna looked toward Grugglewig Wood, and there it was, just as beautiful as always. The tower glowed with its warm amber light. But tonight the glow seemed even more welcoming and magical. The light pulsed gently like a lighthouse calling ships safely home from their long journeys across dark seas. She walked through the quiet village streets where all the cottage windows glowed softly with candlelight and lamplight. Everything felt peaceful and safe, like being wrapped in her grandmother's favorite quilt. The cobblestone path under her feet was smooth and worn by hundreds of years of people walking to and from their daily tasks. At the edge of the village, Luna found what she was looking for. A narrow path made of smooth, moss-covered stones led directly into Grugglewig Wood, toward the mysterious glowing tower. The path looked ancient and magical, as if it had been placed there by forest spirits who wanted to help travelers find their way through the woods safely. The stones were perfectly placed and felt soft under her feet, like walking on a carpet made of the finest silk. Each stone seemed to glow faintly with its own inner light, as if tiny stars had fallen from the sky and decided to make a pathway through the forest. The moss that covered the stones was thick and cushiony and felt wonderful between her toes. Luna stepped onto the whispering path. She noticed that the forest around her was not dark and scary, like forests in frightening stories. Instead, Grugglewig Wood felt alive with gentle magic and peaceful energy. The tall trees stood like friendly giants, with their branches reaching up toward the starry sky. Their leaves rustled softly in the evening breeze, making a sound like whispered secrets being shared between old friends. A small brook ran alongside the path, babbling and giggling like a happy child playing with water toys. The sound was so soothing and musical that Luna felt like the forest was singing her a lullaby as she walked deeper into the woods. The water sparkled in the moonlight, looking like liquid silver flowing over smooth river rocks. Fireflies began to appear around Luna, dancing through the air like tiny lanterns carried by invisible fairies. They glowed with soft yellow-green light that reminded her of summer evenings in her grandmother's garden. The fireflies seemed to be leading her forward, showing her the way to the mysterious tower that grew larger and more beautiful with each step she took. The air smelled of honeysuckle and wild roses and something else that Luna could not name, but that made her feel wonderfully sleepy and content. It was the smell of magic itself, she decided. Sweet and warm and comforting, like fresh baked cookies cooling on a kitchen windowsill. As she walked along the moss-covered stones, Luna heard more forest sounds that made her smile. Nightbirds sang gentle melodies from their perches high in the trees. Crickets chirped in rhythm like a forest orchestra playing a symphony just for her. Somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted softly, adding its deep voice to the peaceful chorus of night sounds. The path curved and wound through the forest, like a lazy river flowing between tall trees and flowering bushes. Wild flowers grew on both sides of the path, and many of them seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight. Luna saw tiny white flowers that looked like fallen stars, and purple flowers that seemed to pulse with their own gentle heartbeat. Suddenly, Luna heard a small rustling sound in the bushes beside the path. She stopped walking and listened carefully. The sound came again, and this time she saw a pair of bright dark eyes peeking out from beneath a large fern. The eyes looked kind and curious, not frightening at all. A small creature stepped out onto the path, and Luna gasped with delight. It was a hedgehog no bigger than her hand, with spines that caught the moonlight and reflected it back like tiny mirrors. The little hedgehog had the most beautiful twinkling eyes Luna had ever seen, and a sweet face that seemed to be smiling at her. "Hello there," Luna whispered softly, not wanting to frighten the gentle creature. "Are you lost too?" The hedgehog tilted its head and made a soft chittering sound that somehow Luna understood perfectly. The little creature was not lost at all. In fact, it seemed to know exactly where it was going, and was offering to help Luna find her way to the glowing tower. "My name is Luna," she said, sitting down on the soft moss so she would not seem so tall and scary to the small hedgehog. "What is your name?" The hedgehog made another gentle sound, and Luna somehow knew its name was Bramble. Bramble lived in Grugglewig wood, and knew every path and every tree and every flower that grew in the magical forest. Most importantly, Bramble knew the way to the mysterious tower and the kind person who lived there. Bramble waddled over to Luna and gently touched her hand with one tiny paw. The touch felt warm and friendly and full of trust. Luna understood that Bramble wanted to guide her safely through the forest to the tower, where wonderful secrets waited to be discovered. Together, Luna and her new friend Bramble continued along the whispering path toward the amber glow that grew brighter and more welcoming with each step they took through the peaceful, magical forest. Luna and Bramble walked together along the whispering path as it curved deeper into the heart of Grugglewig wood. The moss-covered stones beneath their feet seemed to glow more brightly now, leading them forward like a gentle river of light flowing through the peaceful forest. The tower's amber glow grew stronger and warmer with each step they took, making Luna feel as cozy as if she were sitting beside a fireplace on a winter evening. As they rounded a bend in the path where an ancient oak tree spread its mighty branches like protective arms over the forest floor, Luna saw something that made her stop and gasp with wonder. Ahead of them, the trees opened into a circular clearing bathed in the softest silver moonlight she had ever seen. But this was not an ordinary forest clearing. This was the most magical garden Luna could have ever imagined. The entire clearing was filled with plants and flowers that seemed to glow with their own gentle inner light. Purple lavender bushes swayed softly in the evening breeze, releasing their sweet, calming scent into the night air. The lavender flowers looked like tiny stars that had fallen from the sky and decided to grow in neat rows across the peaceful garden. Bramble chittered softly and pointed with one small paw toward a section of the garden where white chamomile flowers grew in perfect circles. The chamomile blossoms glowed like miniature moons floating just above the dark earth. Their light was so soft and soothing that Luna felt her eyes growing heavy just from looking at them. The flowers seemed to pulse gently with a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. In another part of the garden, Luna saw plants she had never seen before but somehow knew were special and magical. There were silver-leafed herbs that shimmered when the night breeze touched them. There were tiny blue flowers that chimed like small bells when they moved. There were tall green plants with leaves that seemed to whisper secret words too soft to understand, but beautiful to hear. The entire garden was surrounded by a low stone wall covered with soft moss and tiny climbing vines that bloomed with flowers, no bigger than Luna's thumbnail. The flowers glowed in every color she could imagine. Pink ones that looked like sunset clouds, yellow ones that reminded her of candlelight, blue ones that sparkled like pieces of the night sky had fallen to earth. As Luna and Bramble stepped into the magical garden, they heard a slow, gentle sound coming from near the center of the clearing. It was not a frightening sound, but rather a peaceful rhythmic scratching like someone very carefully tending to plants with great love and patience. The sound was mixed with soft humming that floated through the garden like a lullaby sung by the wind itself. Following the sound, Luna and Bramble walked along a narrow path between the glowing herb beds. The path was made of smooth white pebbles that felt cool and pleasant under Luna's feet. Each pebble seemed to have been polished by hundreds of years of gentle rain and morning dew, until it shone like a tiny pearl in the moonlight. Near the heart of the garden, they found the source of the peaceful sounds. An ancient tortoise, with a shell covered in beautiful green moss, was slowly and carefully tending to a bed of sleepy-looking herbs. The tortoise was very old. Luna could tell by the wise kindness in his ancient eyes and the careful, gentle way he moved among the precious plants. The tortoise looked up when he heard their soft footsteps on the pebble path. His eyes twinkled with warmth and welcome like stars reflecting in a calm pond. Luna could see that this was a creature who had lived in the magical garden for many, many years and knew all the secrets of the dreaming herbs that grew there. "Good evening, young travelers," said the tortoise in a voice as soft and warm as honey dripping from a wooden spoon. "My name is Sage, and I am the keeper of this garden. You must be Luna, and this must be Bramble. We have been expecting you." Luna felt surprised but not afraid. Somehow it seemed perfectly natural that the wise tortoise would know their names. In a place as magical as this garden, it made sense that wonderful things would happen in wonderful ways. "How did you know we were coming?" Luna asked, sitting down cross-legged on the soft grass beside Sage. Bramble curled up in her lap and made contented chittering sounds as Luna gently stroked his spiny back. Sage smiled a slow, wise smile and continued his careful work among the herbs. "The tower's light grows brighter when someone with a kind heart and curious spirit is walking the whispering path," he explained. "Tonight the light has been glowing more beautifully than it has in many months. We knew someone very special was coming to visit." The old tortoise showed Luna and Bramble around the magical garden, explaining the special properties of each glowing plant. He told them how the lavender helped woodland creatures have peaceful dreams free from worry and fear. He showed them how the chamomile flowers collected moonlight during the night and released it slowly during the day to help the forest stay calm and serene. There were mint plants that sparkled with silver light and helped anyone who smelled them feel refreshed and happy. There were rose bushes with petals that glowed soft pink and filled the air with the sweetest fragrance that made everyone who breathed it feel loved and safe. There were herbs with names Luna had never heard before, but that Sage explained with great patience and kindness. "All of these plants," Sage said as he watered a bed of glowing purple flowers with water that seemed to contain tiny stars, "grow here to help bring peace and good dreams to every creature in Grugglewig Wood and beyond. The wise person who lives in the tower uses these herbs to make sure that sleep comes easily and dreams are sweet for all who need rest." As Sage spoke, Luna noticed that the tower's amber glow seemed to pulse more gently, and the air in the garden became even more peaceful and drowsy. She felt wonderfully sleepy but also excited to learn more about the magical place they had discovered. "Would you like to meet the keeper of the tower?" Sage asked kindly. "I think you would find the visit very interesting indeed, and I believe there might be a special gift waiting for someone as brave and curious as you." Luna looked at Bramble, who chittered encouragingly, and then looked up at the beautiful glowing tower. She nodded sleepily, feeling more peaceful and content than she had ever felt before. Together the three friends began walking toward the tower's welcoming amber light. Luna and Bramble followed Sage along a winding path that led from the magical garden to the base of the glowing tower. As they walked closer, the amber light that had looked so mysterious from far away became warm and welcoming, like the glow from a cozy fireplace. The tower was even more beautiful up close than Luna had imagined, with stones that seemed to sparkle with tiny flecks of gold and silver. The path to the tower's entrance was lined with smooth river rocks that had been polished until they shone, like mirrors in the moonlight. Tiny purple flowers grew between the stones, filling the air with a sweet, sleepy fragrance that made Luna feel wonderfully drowsy and peaceful. The flowers seemed to glow with their own gentle light as if they were made of starlight and moonbeams. At the base of the tower was a wooden door painted the color of deep forest green. The door had a brass knocker shaped like a sleeping owl, with its wings wrapped around its body. But before they could knock, the door opened by itself with a soft creaking sound like old wood settling in for the night. Warm, golden light spilled out of the doorway along with the most comforting smells Luna had ever experienced. There was the scent of honey and cinnamon, and something that reminded her of her grandmother's kitchen on baking day. There was also the smell of old books and dried herbs and candle wax that made her think of wisdom and magic, and peaceful evenings, spent reading by lamplight. Come in, dear travelers," called a gentle voice from inside the tower. "I have been waiting for you, and I have tea ready and comfortable places for you to rest." Luna and Bramble stepped through the doorway into the most amazing room they had ever seen. The walls were made of smooth stone that glowed softly with its own inner light. Shelves lined every wall from floor to ceiling, filled with books that seemed to shimmer and glow in the warm amber light. Some of the books looked very old, with leather covers worn smooth by countless hands. Others sparkled as if they were made of starlight pressed between pages. In the center of the room was a large round table made of polished wood that reflected the dancing flames from dozens of candles placed around the room. The candles were not ordinary candles, but seemed to be made of crystallized sunlight that never burned down, but gave off the most peaceful, warm glow Luna had ever seen. Comfortable cushions and pillows were scattered around the room in every color Luna could imagine. There were soft blue cushions that looked like pieces of the sky had been sewn together with silver thread. There were green pillows that seemed to be made from the softest moss in the forest. There were purple cushions that sparkled like they contained tiny stars. But what made Luna smile most of all were the cats. Beautiful, sleepy cats were curled up on every cushion and pillow throughout the room. There were orange cats, and black cats, and white cats, and cats with patches of many different colors. All of them looked perfectly content and peaceful as they dozed in the warm amber glow of the magical tower room. From behind a curtain made of what looked like woven moonbeams stepped the kindest-looking person Luna had ever seen. He was an older man with a long silver beard that sparkled as if it had been dusted with stardust. His eyes were the warmest shade of brown and twinkled with kindness and wisdom. He wore robes the color of deep purple twilight with silver stars embroidered all over them that seemed to move and dance in the candlelight. "Welcome to my tower," the wizard said with a smile that made Luna feel as safe and loved as being tucked into bed by her mother. "My name is Elderwin, and I am so very pleased to meet you, Luna. And you too, Bramble, my old friend. And of course it is always wonderful to see you, Sage." Elderwin moved slowly and gracefully around the room, preparing tea, in a pot that seemed to be made of crystal and starlight. The tea he brewed smelled like honey and chamomile and lavender with hints of other herbs that Luna could not identify, but that made her feel wonderfully sleepy and content. He served the tea in cups that were warm to the touch and seemed to glow with their own gentle inner light. The tea tasted like liquid peace and comfort, and made Luna feel as if she were being hugged from the inside out. Even Bramble had his own tiny cup of tea, which he sipped delicately with obvious pleasure. "I imagine you are curious about my tower and why it glows every night," Elderwin said, as he settled into a large, comfortable chair that seemed to be made of clouds and starlight. Several sleepy cats immediately climbed into his lap and began purring softly. Luna nodded and curled up on a pile of soft cushions with Bramble nestled beside her. The tower room felt like the coziest place in the world, and she could have stayed there forever listening to the cats purring and watching the candles flicker and feeling perfectly safe and peaceful. "I am the guardian of Grugglewig Wood," Elderwin explained in his warm, gentle voice. "My job is to watch over all the creatures who live in the forest and to make sure that everyone who needs rest can find peaceful sleep and beautiful dreams. The light from my tower carries a special kind of magic that helps bring calm and comfort to all who see it." He showed Luna around the tower room, pointing out his collection of special items that helped him in his work. There were bottles filled with what looked like liquid moonlight that he used to brighten dark nights. There were jars containing the essence of peaceful dreams that he could sprinkle over the forest when needed. There were crystals that hummed with gentle melodies that helped lull restless creatures to sleep. But the most important part of my magic, Elderwin said with a twinkle in his eyes, comes from having a kind heart and wanting to help others find peace and happiness. That is something you already have, Luna, which is why the tower's light called to you tonight. As Luna sipped her tea and listened to Elderwin's gentle voice, she felt more content and sleepy than she had ever felt before. The wizard continued to tell her about his life in the tower and his work protecting the forest while the cats purred, and the candles flickered and the amber light glowed all around them like a warm embrace. After they had finished their warm herb tea, Elderwin stood up slowly and smiled at Luna with eyes that sparkled like stars reflected in a calm lake. The sleepy cats in his lap mewed softly as they were gently moved to comfortable cushions where they immediately curled up and began purring again. "Would you like to see the most special room in my tower?" Elderwin asked Luna. "It is where I perform the most important part of my work, watching over Grugglewig Wood and all the peaceful creatures who call it home." Luna nodded eagerly, though she felt wonderfully drowsy from the magical tea and the warmth of the tower room. Bramble chittered softly from his cozy spot on a velvet cushion, and Sage smiled his slow, wise smile as Elderwin led them to a spiral staircase that curved upward into the heart of the glowing tower. The stairs were made of the same smooth stone as the walls, but each step glowed with a soft inner light that made them easy to see in the gentle darkness. As they climbed higher and higher, Luna could hear the most beautiful sounds drifting down from above. There were soft chimes that tinkled, like silver bells in a gentle breeze. There were whispered melodies that seemed to be sung by the wind itself. There were peaceful humming sounds that reminded her of her mother singing lullabies. The staircase wound around and around, past several closed doors that Elderwin explained led to his bedroom and his library and his workshop, where he created the special potions and herbs that helped bring peaceful sleep to the forest. Each door glowed with its own soft color, and Luna could smell wonderful scents drifting from behind them. There was the smell of old books and dried flowers and something that reminded her of raindrops on summer grass. Finally, they reached the very top of the tower where another wooden door stood open to reveal the most magical room Luna had ever seen. The entire room was made of windows that looked out in every direction over Grugglewig Wood and beyond to the sleeping village of Willowmere. But these were not ordinary windows. They were made of crystal so clear and perfect that Luna felt as if she were standing in the open air high above the world. Through the crystal windows, Luna could see the entire forest spread out below them, like a great carpet of sleeping trees. She could see the winding path they had followed lit by fireflies and moonbeams. She could see Sage's magical garden glowing softly with its dreaming herbs. She could even see her own little village in the distance with its cozy cottages and warm window lights. But what made Luna gasp with wonder were the things that filled the magical room itself. Hanging from the ceiling were hundreds of glass bottles and crystal containers in every shape and size. Some were round like bubbles floating in the air. Others were long and thin like icicles made of starlight. Still others were shaped like teardrops or flowers or tiny moons, and inside each container was the most beautiful light Luna had ever seen. Some bottles held what looked like liquid gold that swirled and danced like tiny golden fish swimming in circles. Others contained silver, light that sparkled like crushed diamonds. Still others held light the color of sunset or moonbeams or the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon. "These are my most precious treasures," Elderwin said softly, as he moved among the hanging bottles like a dancer moving through a field of stars. "Each bottle contains starlight and moonbeams that I have collected over many years. Some hold the light of shooting stars that fell into my garden. Others contain the first light of morning or the last glow of evening. Each one is special and magical in its own way." In the center of the room was a table made entirely of crystal that reflected the light from all the bottles and threw rainbow patterns across the walls and ceiling. On the table were several open books written in silver ink that seemed to move and flow across the pages like water. There were also delicate instruments made of gold and silver that looked like tiny telescopes and music boxes combined. Elderwin walked to the crystal table and opened one of the largest bottles, which contained light that looked like liquid starlight mixed with honey. The light poured out of the bottle and began to float through the air like golden butterflies dancing in the warm evening breeze. Every night, Elderwin explained as he worked with his magical instruments, I release some of this collected starlight and moonbeam magic over the forest and beyond. It carries with it the power to bring peaceful sleep and beautiful dreams to everyone who needs rest. He opened bottle after bottle, releasing different colors and types of magical light into the room. Soon the air was filled with dancing sparkles of gold and silver and purple and blue that moved like gentle clouds of glowing mist. The lights swirled together, creating patterns that were more beautiful than any fireworks Luna had ever seen. As the magical lights danced through the crystal room, they began to flow out through the open windows into the night air above Grugglewig wood. Luna watched in wonder as streams of golden and silver light drifted down like the most gentle rain falling over the sleeping forest. The light settled on the trees and flowers and grass like glowing dew that would bring peace and comfort to every living thing. Some of the magical light drifted toward the village of Willowmere, where Luna knew it would help everyone sleep soundly and have the sweetest dreams. Some settled over the forest where it would comfort the woodland creatures and help them rest peacefully through the night. And some rose up toward the stars themselves, as if returning home after helping to bring peace to the world below. This is the most important work I do, Elderwin said as he watched the last of the starlight drift out into the peaceful night. Magic is not about grand spells or amazing tricks. True magic is about caring for others and using whatever gifts you have to make the world a little more peaceful and beautiful. Luna felt tears of happiness in her eyes as she watched the magical blessing float over the forest and her village. She understood now why the tower's light had called to her and why she had felt so peaceful whenever she looked at it from her bedroom window. Elderwin's magic was the magic of kindness and love and caring for others. As the last sparkles of starlight disappeared into the night sky, Elderwin turned to Luna with a gentle smile. Now I have something very special to give you, he said. Something that will help you remember this magical night and carry a little bit of the tower's peace with you always. The crystal room grew quiet except for the soft tinkling of the empty bottles swaying gently in the night breeze that flowed through the windows. Luna felt wonderfully sleepy and peaceful as she waited to see what special gift the kind wizard had prepared for her. Elderwin moved gracefully to a small wooden chest that sat on a shelf, carved into the crystal wall of the magical room. The chest was made of wood that seemed to glow with its own soft inner light, and was decorated with tiny silver stars that twinkled like real stars in the night sky. When he opened the chest, a gentle melody drifted out along with the sweet scent of lavender and chamomile and other peaceful herbs. Inside the chest, Luna could see many small silk pouches in different colors. Some were purple like twilight skies. Others were silver like moonbeams. Still others were soft gold like candlelight, or gentle blue like peaceful dreams. Each pouch was tied with a ribbon and seemed to glow faintly with magic and love. Elderwin chose a pouch made of the softest purple silk and tied with a silver ribbon that sparkled with tiny stars. He held it carefully in his hands and closed his eyes for a moment as if he were saying a silent blessing over the small gift. This is a dream sachet made from the most peaceful herbs in Sage's magical garden, Elderwin explained as he placed the small pouch gently in Luna's hands. Inside are dried lavender flowers that will help you fall asleep easily and chamomile blossoms that will bring you the sweetest dreams. There are also rose petals for happiness and mint leaves for peaceful thoughts and a few other special herbs that will help you sleep soundly every night. The little sachet felt warm in Luna's hands and smelled like all the most comforting scents in the world mixed together. It smelled like her mother's garden in summer and her grandmother's kitchen when cookies were baking in the forest after a gentle rain. Holding it made her feel safe and loved and wonderfully sleepy. But the most important magic in this sachet, Elderwin continued with a gentle smile, is not from the herbs themselves. It is from the love and care that went into making it and the wish that you will always sleep peacefully and wake up feeling happy and refreshed. Luna hugged the precious gift to her heart and felt tears of gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you so much," she whispered. "This is the most wonderful gift I have ever received. I will treasure it always and think of you in this magical night every time I go to sleep." Bramble chittered softly and nuzzled against Luna's hand as if he too was happy about the special gift. Sage smiled his slow, wise smile and nodded approvingly. All of them seemed pleased that Luna had found her way to the magical tower and discovered the secret of its peaceful glow. As wonderful as the tower room was, Luna began to feel that it was time to return home. She was growing more sleepy with each passing minute, and she knew her parents would be worried if they discovered she was not in her bed. The magical tea and the warm tower room, and especially the beautiful starlight blessing, had filled her with the most peaceful, drowsy feeling she had ever experienced. "I should go home now," Luna said softly. "My parents will wonder where I am, and I am feeling wonderfully sleepy thanks to your magical tea and herbs." Elderwin nodded understandingly. "Of course, dear child. Bramble will guide you safely back along the whispering path to your village. The moon is bright tonight and the way is safe and peaceful. The starlight blessing I released will help make your journey home feel like walking through a gentle dream." They made their way back down the spiral staircase past the glowing doors, and through the cozy main room where the cats were still sleeping peacefully on their soft cushions. At the green wooden door, Elderwin gave Luna a gentle hug that felt like being embraced by kindness itself. "Remember," he said softly as they stepped out into the magical garden, "the tower's light will always be here for you whenever you need to feel peaceful and safe. And now you know that its glow comes from love and care for all who need rest and beautiful dreams." Bramble led Luna back through Sage's garden, where all the glowing herbs seemed to pulse more gently now, as if they, too, were settling down for the night. The chamomile flowers glowed like tiny moons, and the lavender swayed softly in the evening breeze, filling the air with their calming scent. Sage waved goodbye from beside his herb beds and wished Luna sweet dreams and peaceful sleep. The whispering path seemed even more magical now as Luna and Bramble walked back toward the village. The moss-covered stones glowed more softly and felt even more comfortable under Luna's feet. The fireflies danced around them like old friends saying farewell after a wonderful evening together. The brook babbled more quietly as if it, too, was getting ready for sleep. All around them, the forest seemed more peaceful than ever. Luna could see rabbits sleeping in soft grass clearings and deer resting beneath the protective branches of ancient trees. Birds were tucked into their nests with their heads under their wings. Even the trees themselves seemed to be dozing gently in the warm night air. The starlight blessing that Elderwin had released was still drifting through the forest like the most gentle, glowing mist. Wherever it touched, the magical light brought an extra measure of peace and comfort. Luna felt as if she were walking through a dream world where everything was soft and safe and perfectly calm. As they reached the edge of Grugglewig Wood, Luna could see the village of Willowmere sleeping peacefully in the distance. The cottage windows glowed more softly now, and everything looked perfectly quiet and restful. She could even see her own little house with its red mushroom roof waiting for her to return. Bramble walked with her to the very edge of the forest where the whispering path met the cobblestone streets of the village. There the friendly hedgehog chittered softly and touched Luna's hand with one small paw in a gesture of farewell and friendship. "Thank you for guiding me on the most wonderful adventure of my life," Luna whispered to her small friend. "I will never forget tonight or any of the amazing friends I made in the magical forest." Luna walked quietly through the sleeping village, holding her precious dream sachet carefully in her hands. Everything looked exactly as she had left it, but somehow more peaceful and beautiful than ever before. The starlight blessing seemed to have settled over the entire village like the most comfortable blanket imaginable. She slipped quietly back into her cottage and tiptoed up the creaky stairs to her bedroom. Her parents were still sleeping soundly, and everything was exactly as she had left it. But Luna felt completely different. She felt filled with magic and peace and the most wonderful drowsy contentment. She changed back into her soft nightgown and placed the precious dream sachet on the small table beside her bed. Immediately her room filled with the gentle scent of lavender and chamomile and all the other peaceful herbs that would help her sleep soundly. As Luna snuggled into her warm bed, she looked out her window toward Grugglewig Wood. There was the tower glowing with its beautiful amber light just as it had every night before. But now she knew the wonderful secret of that light. She knew it came from Elderwin's kind heart and his desire to help everyone in the world sleep peacefully and have beautiful dreams. The tower's light seemed to pulse gently as if Elderwin was saying goodnight to her from his crystal room high, above the forest. Luna smiled sleepily and whispered goodnight back to her new friend. Then she closed her eyes and drifted off into the most peaceful sleep of her life, filled with dreams of magical gardens and glowing herbs, and the warmest, kindest wizard who watched over everyone while they slept.